Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video we're discussing The Death of the Vineyard, written by Emylia Hall. It's a cozy mystery, it was an arc read for me, and it's the fourth book in the Shell House Detective series. Now, this book elevated this series back to where I wanted to be, back to where it was for book one, because I did feel that books 2 and 3 were not as good as the first book. There was one main reason for that, that in those books 2 and 3, their protagonists, their point of view just didn't feel like the main point of view in relation to the mystery. It felt like we're seeing the mystery through other characters' point of view. But in this book, it all comes back to those two protagonists. They're the biggest and strongest points of view in direct relationship with the mystery, with the solving it and the investigating it. So I really enjoyed that in this book, and I enjoyed the slight gothic feel in this story as well. We haven't seen that yet in this series, but the setting and some of the characters that come into this story give this a real gothic sense, and I enjoyed that so much. So our two protagonists, Ellie and Jaden, are hired to solve a mystery, but they end up investigating a mystery they weren't first hired to solve. They kind of stumble across a second mystery. So the first mystery was the theft of a 4-wheel motorbike. And then while they're there to start investigating that, they stumble across a body that was stampeded by a small herd of cattle. And there's a question marks around that. Was it accidental or was it forced? Did something happen to this person before that stampede, before they were trampled? What happened? So they're being asked by this person's father to investigate. Now, before I jump into more about that mystery or the setup of the mystery, let's talk about the two main characters just in brief detail to remind ourselves of who they are. So first off, we have Ellie. And Ellie is a local in the area. She's lived there for like 50 years or so. And she was married to a police officer who worked in the area, and he passed away before this series started. So Ellie is a widow, but she still lives in the same house and lives in the same area. She loves it. And she's just a local, everybody knows her. But she's so clever and inquisitive, and I like the way she thinks about and goes about investigating and solving the crimes in this book. Then we have Jaden, and Jaden was in the police force somewhere else. Then he left, he resigned, because his partner on the force was killed in the line of duty. And that shook him up greatly. So he left, and they came back to this area because his wife is from this area, her parents are still here, and they decided to open up a glamping business. And they're doing that in this book from the first book in the series. Now this character is inquisitive as well. He wanted to be a detective when he was on the police force, never had the chance. But in this book, now he's solving crimes and being an amateur detective with Ellie. It's like he's living his dream basically in a way. And he's so invigorated by investigating these crimes. You see a big shift in his character throughout this series when he starts investigating crime and having that feel for it again, that love of getting in there and solving things. So both characters, I think, work well together, and both characters bring a lot of life into these mysteries because you just see it's almost like they enjoy it. They enjoy the investigation, they enjoy the puzzles, they enjoy helping people and solving things, resolving things. And you see that come through so strongly in these two characters. But this case is going to be a hard one to solve because the family who own the vineyard, so the vineyard is where this possible crime happened, where this person was trampled to death by this cattle. This family is quite close-knit. They're closed-mouthed. They fold ranks, they join ranks, and they won't say anything. They have their stories set and they stick to them. So they're hard characters to crack in this book. And we see characters in this book, Jaden and Ellie, and the real police as well, struggle to kind of get anything out of them, any further clues, any further gossip or mistakes in their explanations about things and their statements. So I like that in this book, how challenging it is for our characters. But what I like about this book is the mystery isn't just that one simple event. We have different threads, different events, both past and present, that all form an overarching mystery. They're all little jigsaw pieces of the same picture. And I like the way that's done in the story. It felt effortless when you're reading it. I'm sure it wasn't effortless when it was being written. I'm sure there was great plotting and planning in the writing process. There'd have to be, because little pieces are just slotting in here and there. And there's nothing there to give things away. There's no foretelling in this story. You have to read all the way through to find out the truth. I enjoy that as well. And to bring those different threads in and have different characters come in as well at different times. I think that's hard to do as well, because those characters have to engage the reader. If they don't, that thread just is forgotten in the story because the reader just won't engage with it. So every character has to be engaging. All those threads have to be intriguing, have to stand up on their own, but also make sense as a whole. So how do writers do that? Look, I'm not sure, because I think writing this would be so complex. Where's the balance? How much emphasis do you put on each character and each thread at this time? And how do you hide little clues, or how do you not give away things too early when you write a book, but also just give away enough to make it so engaging that readers want to know more? I think there's great skill in that. That's what I like about this book. This book elevates this whole series again, because you can see the skill in the forming of this story. I think the author's taken great care and great pains to just make this so compelling and make the reader just want to keep turning pages, want to keep just finding out more about not just the characters, but the events and certain scenes and situations. The author's just making this whole story, everything about it, compelling. But being a cozy mystery, there's cozy elements that are as important as the mystery. And by now, in 4 books in this series, the main characters and main support characters, they're all so familiar, they feel like family. One of the things I like about this is how friendships are formed throughout this whole series, and we see them grow and grow throughout the series. They're not instant friendships in that way. They're not best friends straight away, the people in the book. They understand more about each other. They have their little problems with each other as well. And you see that in the story. One thing I like about the characters in this book is the friendship with Ellie and Gus. I've liked that friendship from book 1. And it's obvious, it's so obvious now to readers, I think, that there's more for these 2 characters than meets the eye so far. We get strong impressions that both of them, they want more. But they're struggling to kind of make that final step, I think, both of them. And I'm wondering, when will that happen? When will Ellie and Gus go from friends to something more? Has to happen at some time, I think. Maybe in the next book, I don't know. But I think both characters are quite charming. I do like Gus. I think Gus is wonderful. Gus feels like an underdog. He feels like this just placid character, just wants the best in life and the best for everybody. He feels so nice as a character in the story. You want the best for him when you read these books. So I hope that there's more progression in that Ellie and Gus storyline in these books. And I'm just wondering, will the next book be that moment when we see the characters just move to the next step? Celine is a character who's created for this book, and I don't expect to see her in future books in this series. Now, this character is mysterious, very mysterious. And when she's introduced in the story, straight away you wonder about her. What's beneath the surface? Well, I did anyway. Maybe that comes from just reading too many mysteries, I don't know. Because when you read too many mysteries, I think you start to wonder about every character in a story. Are they hiding something? Are we going to find out something shocking or mysterious, or are there revelations about a character later on? But this character is mysterious, and I think written very well, because she comes across as just being a genuine character who's there for a purpose. But there's little hints, I think, in what she says and how she acts and who she even talks to in the story that give away little things about her. Is she up to something else? So very well done, because it makes the whole thing compelling when you have a character like this. Ruth is the matriarch of the family who owns the vineyard, and Ruth runs her family with an iron fist, I think, in this story. She's very, stubborn. She has a strong will, she has a strong mind, and she doesn't back down. She protects her family and her vineyard at all costs. We know that about this character from the word go. What we know about her is strength. We also know struggles in her past. We learn about them in the story. And we get the impression there's certain things in her past that may make her as stubborn and strong and willful as she is now. So as characters go, she brings this gothic feel to the book most of all, I think. And this gothic feel from her is so strong. and I enjoyed it and made her so engaging in this story. So Sean, yes, a character called Sean in this story. Now Sean is the father of the victim in this book, the person who was trampled by that cattle. I like him as a character. I think through him, I think his reactions, I think his grief feels genuine. It feels realistic to me. And I like his dialogue with other characters. I like the character, how he's constructed in the story. I like his complexity because he is complex. And I just like the way it's handled with this character in the book. I think readers, if you've read this or want to read this, I think you'll feel a very soft spot for this character. I think you'll empathize with him greatly. And it's the way he's written. It's the way we view him in his home, his surroundings, the things he says, his body language, how other characters view him as well at certain scenes. All those things will make you empathize with him greatly, I think. That's his purpose in the story, to make you feel for him and also for the crime as well that's happened, the possible crime, with his son being trampled by that cattle. I really enjoyed this read, a great addition to the series, and I rate this a 4 out of 5. This book just elevates the whole series for me again and makes me so keen to read the next book in this series. And I hope we don't have to wait too long. I think I read somewhere, maybe even in the notes about this book, that there's a TV series being developed for this series. And I'm not sure who's developing it or where it's going to be broadcast or where it's going to be streamed, whatever. But I hope I get a chance to see it because I'm just waiting to see how Ellie and Jaden are portrayed on the screen. And other characters as well, especially Gus, who I like Gus very much in this book. On my channel, I review many cozy mysteries. If you enjoy cozy mysteries, check out my channel and subscribe. On the screen now is a link to another video for a book I'm sure you'll enjoy.